welcome into our Friday episode of RFK Refugees Podcast. You have with me your one host, Jon Hoffman. Ted is off doing, I think, prepping the DC United game that's coming up this weekend. So we're going to have multiple episodes for you. But before that, we have Anna Heilferty. How are you doing, Anna?
I am good. Thank you for having me.
I mean, I don't want to claim sort of the initial hashtag, the Heilferty Hive. I don't want to say that. That was me. We could search it. I'm sure probably in college. I'm sure other people have. But so happy to have you back on the show. I think this is time number 2. So
I believe.
welcome back.
Thank you.
We talked to you really briefly. I mean, it's kind of obvious. I think the big sort of questions are just about the time that has elapsed since you've been on the field. We talked to you in the mix zone a little bit before when you made your substitute appearance coming in for Casey.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a big question, but sort of just talk through sort of the time that you were away from the team, what rehab was like.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of players talk about how challenging it is to sort of be on your own. I'm trying to remind me too if there were any other players that were going through the same thing at the same time that you were, or if it was sort of a lonely road.
There was some overlap definitely. Savannah Coleman tore her ACL in July, so it was very uncharted territory for me. This was like my first major injury besides like the rolling your ankle or concussion here and there. Like, been lucky to be healthy for most of my career, so heading in, obviously a lot of people talk about ACL injuries and just the journey of it, how hard it can be, and just the time period of it being one of the longest injuries that athletes can kind of undergo. So definitely was seeking out all the help and knowledge in the beginning. It's interesting kind of being a part of this like ACL community that you
the worst club you could ever join.
yeah,
But
you kind of get sworn in, but it really is like just that was like a big thing for me, was just connecting with other people that have been through it, what their experience is, because you just kind of have no idea what's normal, what's not normal, and so that was helpful in the beginning, and I think honestly just in the beginning of my injury, it being at the beginning of the season and kind of like, okay, the season is kind of a scratch, or like it's not, we're just working on getting healthy. And that was something that like Mark Parsons told me. It was like, the best thing you can do for this team is like get healthy. And so that was kind of I think helpful and necessary shift, where it was like, we're gonna take a little break from soccer brain and like being so intertwined in this environment that is really intense and takes a lot. So like getting to kind of remove myself and focus on just like the day to day, getting healthy. I kind of enjoyed just the progress of it, and that was kind of something that I could take, I guess, was like, you're just focusing on like that, like incremental, like every day, can we do this a little bit better or work on this, and like seeing your progress throughout it. So
did you find it a big challenge to reintegrate your brain into hyper competitive soccer mode when you had to unplug that thing that you've been that's been you for quite some time? So was that a struggle to get that part back into your normal life?
yes, like candidly, definitely. I think watching the games last year, even like just all the contact and like physicality, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I used to do this, like kind of like, oh my, like, yeah, just like kind of in awe of everybody, and being like, oh, I did that, and I was in those tackles, and just so yeah, definitely getting I had the off season, so I was training with like a small group at the end of last season, and then the off season kind of got to like personalize it a little bit for me, and get into those small groups where I'm playing with professionals. Like for a lot of my rehab, I'm like training with an 18
Right, whoever's around.
someone. Yeah, someone
Right.
who can kick a ball. So that was like nice, but it's like getting that speed back up where you're like, yeah, I just felt like my body and head were not connected for a good chunk of it.
When you got into preseason, did you feel like, so granted, like you said, you get the readjustment to playing against professionals again. How quick did you feel like, all right, I've got my speed back, I've got my decision making back, I've got my mentality back? Was it working through that through the preseason? Do you feel like you're all the way there now as we roll forward?
Yeah, I think it's definitely, I don't know, you come out of it just like a completely different person and
Right.
player, so it's hard to compare to where I was before because I do just feel like in a different space and in a better space in a lot of ways. But I think, yeah, the preseason was definitely like that first week was like, okay, Anna, like we're going to be patient with ourselves because, yeah, there's definitely like the frustration of like, dang, like I feel a little bit behind, a little bit slower. Like I'm still kind of was easing in. But it's one of those things. And I think like to credit myself, I feel like once I'm in these environments, I can like catch up and get up to speed. Like that's something that I think is a strength of mine. And so it was just like letting it play out and like not stressing about the day to day, but being like, okay, we're moving in the right direction.
That's
So
that's good considering too, because uh, if you didn't have that skill last season, would have been a challenge, sort of changing into that modular step by step thing. But also, looking at when you started here, and I've talked. I mean, this is the case for any of them that's a long term player. You've just experienced change after change after change after change after change. Uh, and the one I wanted to talk to you most about, I remember having a conversation many coaches ago about you and sort of where it made sense to play you. I think where you are now is not where they originally intended for you to be. There was a conversation. I think Richie Burke was saying, she'd like to be further up the field. We need her at this spot right now. Things might change in the future. Who knows how it goes?
mhm.
Uh, do you still have like frustrated winger dreams where you feel like you're where you should be? Where are you at in your acceptance realization process about where your natural position should be?
I I think I am like a defender. I think I like have embraced that role. Um,
You and Tara have another club that you can join. The
exactly. Yeah,
recently accepted defenders.
I'm not alone, for sure. But yeah, I mean, I think it's just been kind of a joy to like learn this position, and value it, more than I probably have in my career. Um, but yeah, I mean, winger was really fun. Midfield, I will always love that position. So it's kind of weird being like, oh, I'm like, even when people ask me, I'm like, well, I'm a defender now. But
You were great up there. Just a little bit of I didn't get to see you in college, obviously, but seeing you play there in the first year, that is where I thought that's where it made the most sense. But
yeah,
to your point,
yeah,
it's a great niche you found here. I think now, and multiple coaches have seen this as a good spot for you to be. So to your point, you're there now. You're accepting it. And you're good at it. So
yeah,
it's all good stuff.
yeah.
Let's talk about how you re-entered the fray a little bit. I don't know that you were. I mean, you're on the bench, obviously, so anything could have happened. But
Hmm.
I don't think Casey is a not 90-minute player. Typically, I think she sort of kind of assume that she's going to start out there. She might end out there. Obviously, she ran into the ice cream truck that was Hal Hirschfeld and hit faces with her. I'm glad that she doesn't have anything broken. That's great. But
Me
uh,
too.
what was your? I don't think you were. It was the first half, right? It was. So you weren't warming up yet. You were just on the bench, right? As that happened.
Yeah, I think we like do some like pre warm up just to like stay warm, but it definitely was like not like a get on the field kind of warm up. But yeah, I mean, I think I said this after the game. I think just ripping the band aid off, um, and also just knowing my role this year and trying to be ready for any opportunity that I get. I like Gabby and Casey are excellent defenders, and like I've really learned a lot from them and just the skills that they bring. And so, it's like when called upon, I want to be like ready to go. And this was obviously with the added like, okay, it's your first time back. But it was nice to be thrown out there and trusted.
I feel like your first touch too was like right along the sideline, like you had to dribble past somebody. You did. It wasn't a straightforward. It wasn't like a pass back and then a pass to the side. You had to do something. So as I saw that, I was like, oh, all right, well that's good. She's activated. She's good after a long time off.
Yeah.
I think I think too. We sort of talk about where where you are now positionally. It seems like there is such a high value, and that doesn't seem there is such a high value in positional flexibility and also comfort in different locations with the new coaching staff
Mm-hmm.
and the new philosophy. For instance, Gabby switching sides and just being like, yeah, that's where I play now. That's everything is fine. I don't know. I don't remember the previous years. Do you think because of your past and your sort of diverse skill set and the fact that you could play anywhere on the field, do you think this even suits you even better as far as the possession style, the dribbling out of trouble, the everybody expected to be able to do everything type of mentality that the Adrian has for everybody? Does that suit you?
Yeah, I think obviously over the years it's been like nice to be adaptable and kind of versatile. Like it's definitely been something that has played to my benefit. But yeah, I think this style is exciting for me. Just how we want to play with the ball, how we're defending, and the tactics around that. Like it definitely feels like I'm growing. I feel like my soccer brain's on all the time. And I feel like I enjoy being on the ball. And so when that's kind of what we center around a lot of our play, then that to me is exciting.
Yeah, it's been a good season so far. I mean, obviously, sitting it's early days and everything is. I don't think anyone had Kansas City necessarily top of the league at 9 points, but the thing we always joke about on the show is like in a good year, making predictions about the NWSL from a preseason perspective is crazy and you shouldn't do it. But even worse so when the narrative is or the standard is like no more public preseason games. You get to see this team for the first time when they roll out. So I thought it was even funnier when people were like, "So how do you think everything's going to go?" It's like first place. I don't know. What do you want me to say? It seems like it's good.
Yeah.
Uh, but the start so far this season, I think you got to feel pretty happy about it. I don't know where the team had. Were there sort of internal conversations about where you want to be after the first month? Like where look at. I know what fans do. Fans look at the schedule for the first month and be like, "That looks like a point. That looks like 3 points. That's a tough one." Uh, did that sort of conversation happen for this first month, or is it the cliche of we took it game by game and we don't think about anything forward other than this upcoming weekend or next weekend?
I think a little bit of both. We definitely have like the longer term goals setting, like what we want to look like as a team. What are the product that we're putting out there, and where we think we should be? Because I think we all agree that like we're not where we want to be at the end of the season or even in a month. But that also the philosophy of like, yeah, we played that game, we won, but now it's like a whole other task and challenge ahead. And very much like we get like a 24-hour celebration and then it's like, okay, we're on, on to the next one. So yeah, I would say I'm happy with how it's gone so far. I feel like we're headed in a good direction. So
The Utah game is a good example of that. Like I don't think if you were to look at the opportunities created, you might have thought that the score line should have been maybe more out of hand earlier.
mm-hmm.
But results, 3 points, early seasons, like when things aren't clicking all the way and you can still get 3 points, that's where if you look at the last season and even the season before that, like you look at points left on the table or like points conceded from a winning position at the end of the game. That was like that's been the thing for a little while. That's been the concern is like if we could just hold out here the 85th minute on,
Yeah,
that'd be great. Um,
yeah,
I want to
definitely.
talk about the young players this season.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's I don't want to. You're not a veteran yet. We're not going to call that. That's a we're not going to say that. You've got a couple years in now, so we'll say that.
Okay.
Uh, but I think from a fan's perspective, they were looking, and I talked to Andy about this, and I think probably Ashley about this too. It's like on draft night, it was like, what's the plan here? What are we doing? We're trading away these two key starters, and we're going to just roll with four first round draft picks and just see how it goes. And I don't know, maybe some podcasts that you may be talking to had similar thoughts about that, and it appears that these young players are really well suited for both the style of play and also for contributing immediately and playing 90 minutes. What has been your observation of them coming into training camp and then sort of the results that you're kind of already seeing? It's kind of, from a fan perspective, shocking, but from the internal perspective, might be a little different.
Yeah, no, I would say it's definitely worth like all the applause and awe, because I think it's incredibly impressive how they have all come in, the form they've come in, and just the energy. Like, I don't know, they've just brought like a kind of refreshment and energy that I think that this team really needed. I've been here for 4 years. We've been through a lot. And so I think they've just brought in a lot of new perspective and energy, just to the team environment. And then obviously the skills show for themselves. A lot of them are playing really big roles for us, and then also coming up in really big plays for us, which you don't always get in one rookie, and
Right.
let alone all of our rookies kind of doing that. And so I think I've been really impressed with them just as people and players. So yeah, I think it's been great to see that.
And to your point, we're not, the final article has not been created yet, and all of these, I think it's great from a team growth perspective to see all of these 90-minute blocks for Hal and Croy, like seeing Courtney get a start.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's great for the long term of this team. You do have, and yourself as a part of this too, like there is a group of young veterans. I don't know what we want to call it. Players that aren't first year players that have been there for a couple years,
Yeah.
that you could also easily imagine stepping in, and you have had the experience and the success. So they're in a good spot where you're able to expose these players to a lot of minutes early on, and then as the season becomes a bit more of a grind, where you're not. I mean, you already get a week off. We've got already the first half of the first month of the season. Soon it won't be like that. Soon it will be like, this is just every day. We're seeming to have a game like every 4 days.
Yeah.
So that can only put you guys in a better spot. You guys, the depth, you're like growing the depth now for using it later. I think I don't know if it's intentional or whatever, but it's working out. Or probably will work out.
Yeah. No, I think obviously only 11 players can step on the field, but I feel like we're building a team that like you will be able to see multiple variations of that 11, and then also the people that step on are making the difference. So
Absolutely. So you've got, so I just mentioned we got until next Friday. What's the, do you guys get a couple days off before training resumes, or is it just going to just rock and roll all the way through until next Friday?
we are playing a scrimmage this weekend.
It's just like preseason. We'll never know. Just like I said, Andy scored a hat trick in the closed door game against Houston, and no one can tell me any differently. So she said that's fine.
Yeah, just make up stats.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we have that just to keep the wheels turning into next week. So yeah, I think that'll be like on the same topic, just good exposure for people that haven't had as many minutes, or yeah, just to play another opponent in between. So
Do you have personal goals for this season? As far as, it don't have to be stat based, but just sort of like how you feel at the end of the season. Have you set targets for where you want to be at the end of this one?
yeah, I've definitely leaned off of like maybe stats or data based. I think just coming off my injury, just having joy and enjoying this process and season, and playing my role and getting the opportunities that I do and enjoying those. It sounds kind of cheesy and corny, but it is just like kind of that simple for me this year, is just like um, just being present and enjoying what I have. So
I would not underweight the value of joy. I think it's actually, I like that because a lot of people watch uh, this game and they're like, "Oh, this is the best job in the world." Like, and it is a great job, but like it is also a big, big, big grind. And if you're not playing, or if you're just practicing, or you get injured and you're out for a while, like joy is hard to come by.
Yeah.
And you could be doing a lot of things with your life. You could be doing a lot of other things that you could do, but if this isn't joyful, then
Yeah.
those other things seem to be a lot more interesting. So I think that's a great goal. I think that's what everyone should aim for in their careers. Well, I don't want to hold you too long, and I appreciate you joining me. I know that I would say, where can people find you? The answer is usually any event, any like community event where there's like a good cause being uh, represented. You're usually the one there, so
Yeah. Come
they could just find you out in the streets. You're there. But I also like, where are you on social? In case, I'm sure you're listening to this, you're following in already. But where are you on social media?
I believe my name is a good
That's a good way to start.
help at whatever usually gets you to where uh, I am. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Thank you so much. Have a great welcome back after a long
Yes.
layoff.
Appreciate
And I wish you joy, and I wish you continued health for the rest of the season.
Thank you. I wish you joy too. Thanks for having me.